The New Era, Chapter 12. Subject, Shiphead Alina. Species, Urukari. Species description, reptilian humanoid, no tail. 5 foot 3 inches or 1.6 meters average height. 135 pounds or 61 kilograms average weight. 105-year life expectancy. Ship RSV Loalana. Fights with honor. Location unknown. Hello there, Alina, Captain Reynolds said as he nearly ran into each other. Greetings, Captain, I replied. You weren't already in the conference room? No, I've been on the bridge, Reynolds said as we continued on our way. Didn't have much to do, though, so I was contemplating running some drills when I received this brusque message from Omega. Presumably the same one you received. I believe so. Think the scouts found something? I feel that's likely, yes. So we're in for the briefing then, I said with a joking sigh. Quite. I hope they found something interesting. Use caution when you profess desires, Captain. They may be granted in a way that exceeds your expectations. Reynolds chuckled as we reached the door to the conference room. It opened for us, and I gestured to indicate that he should precede me into the room. He nodded his thanks and entered the room with me close behind. Reynolds, Alina, welcome. Omega's Grim Reaper avatar greeted us. Have a seat. We'll be starting soon. Most of the other captains and diplomats were already seated. Some were milling around, awkwardly chatting off to the side. Reynolds and I took our seats, and I fought off the nervous knot that was forming in my stomach. Holographic terminals were being projected above the table, and reading them caused a knot in my stomach to turn to a pit. D1. 30 seconds isn't a terrible idea.
It is for text-based communications.
D1. Not when you consider the distance. It felt like wrong to see the directorates chat out in the open like this. The other terminals showed a chat, appeared to be a conglomeration of other allied species. The Datilan Collective, the Pawanti, and the Republic all shared a screen. A different implication played through my mind all at once. This separation of chats could be construed as a power move that could be passively explained as a necessity under the guise of maintaining anonymity of the Directorate. Another implication is that if we were receiving text, we're probably sending text, which means that someone is translating what we say, and we have to trust that they're doing it accurately. The biggest implication, though, is that for this meeting to take place, the scouts have found something vital importance. Everyone is here, Omega announced, for the sake of clarity. This conversation is being transmitted to and from the Milky Way galaxy by a faster-than-light secure messaging service, or FTL-SMS. As such, it has to be transcribed. If you are asked to repeat yourself, please do so clearly and concisely. Omega's avatar nodded, and several low-ranking officers rushed forward with tablets. These tablets were passed out as everyone took their seats. I took the tablet offered to me by a gaunt ensign and tried to find a way to turn it on. Don't bother, Reynolds whispered. Omega likes the dramatics. The AI's avatar stared at Reynolds coldly as the tablet suddenly powered on. The captain grinned at Omega until his gaze fell to the tablet. Then his smile faltered. I turned my own attention to the tablet, and my mood fell as well. An estimated 5 trillion ships, with more than 3 trillion of that already confirmed. Those are kind of numbers that would overwhelm the United Systems, even with their freshly bolstered fleets. The US certainly made OU regret that fight, though. Omega, there's a typo here, Captain Wong spoke up. 2 light years. Slight murmur had been building up went silent as everyone else looked to Omega for confirmation. Confused, I scrolled through the tablet until I found an image of an unfinished spherical space station. A line through it indicated that it had a diameter of 2.6674 light years. I joined everyone else in looking at Omega, hoping that wasn't right. That isn't a typo, Omega said. We are able to confirm through interceptor communications that the structure is the Omni-Union's grand vessel.
A structure like this shouldn't be able to exist. Why hasn't it collapsed in on itself?
D2. Where did they get the materials?
Galaxies like ours, I suspect.
D11. I concur, but I want to know how they're mitigating these effects of gravity.
Agreed. It would seem the OU possess some interesting technology.
The messages from the Directorate stopped after Director 8 sent their message. A shudder ran down my spine when I realized that they had likely stopped the chat so that they could discuss this mysterious technology and what they could do with it. I was thinking about something about the pause, but Omega continued with his explanation. If you direct your attention to the report, you'll note that we are able to get quite close to the structure, Omega said. In addition to confirming the efficacy of the USS Strandog's stealth capabilities, there are many things that we were able to discover. Omega explained that there were several levels to the structure. Each of these levels were made of various materials, as if new molecules were discovered as the structure was being built. The later levels are made of lightweight and firm material that appears to have properties shared by plastic and metal. In a sample of the material were attained, it may be possible to recreate. This revelation caused a spirited discussion. Omega waited for the discussion to die down, then noted that while they would obviously have extreme benefits to us all, dealing with the Omni-Union is our main priority. The AI then began to detail what they discovered inside the structure, namely organics, massive cities that house these organics stretched across each layer. An accurate measurement of the population was impossible, but the initial estimate was in the quadrillions. When asked how much such a large population could be supported, Omega pointed out that there were entire levels of the structure that were seemingly geared towards food production and waste processing.
How many galaxies died to make this thing?
Incalculable, the AI replied. We don't know how large the galaxies that used to exist in this part of space were. However, based on atmospheric and terrestrial density, it would take several 100,000 Milky Way-sized galaxies to create a structure like this, at least.
Jesus Christ, someone else muttered.
Indeed, but interceptor chatter indicates that there are materials flowing in from 1 million or so galaxies that haven't been entirely conquered yet. If that's been the case, the number of galaxies that have been doomed to non-existence may be quite a lot smaller.
Why weren't the materials from the Milky Way being sent there? I asked.
I don't know, Omega Sabotage shrugged. I intend to find out, though, but first, there's more about the structure itself we need to cover.
Then Omega explained that there were a variety of organics on board the structure.
The organics towards the center of the structure were one species, and the ones that resided in the outer layers were comprised of several other species. The AI postulated that this may indicate some type of hierarchy. The species living in the outer layers were heavily modified, as well. Entire limbs were replaced with mechanical prostheses, whose purpose seemed to be to aid them in their work. During the USS Strandog's observation, at least 22 of these organics died due to harsh working conditions. This indicates that these organics are disadvantaged, Omega explained. There is a very good chance they are enslaved and serve the Omni-Union as a source of cheap labor.
That's great. The entire room turned to look at who had just spoken. Ambassador Havencroft glanced around, then seemed to realize what he had just said and quickly held up his hands. Great for us, I mean, he clarified. A disenfranchised population is an excellent blade to shove into the heart of an enemy, especially since it's a weakness of their own creation. I love a bit of poetic justice.
I can't help but agree, Ambassador Lorix replied. But how do we contact these people? I'm not certain that they would help us, even if they were able to contact them. Omega's avatar shook its head slowly. It then began to detail security measures within the sphere. Signs of visual and audio surveillance, mechanized security forces, and turrets littered the layers. Apparently, the Omni-Union was well aware of their biggest weakness. The mechs themselves aren't particularly well designed, Omega explained. Either this is a recent innovation, or the Omni-Union has co-opted technology from one of their many conquests.
D4.
How many mechs are there? Multiple millions. A few armies worth, the AI said. However, these mechs have similarities to mobile prime platforms in their construction. It's possible that they are repurposed organics. If that's the case, we may be able to take advantage of that. I see where this is going, Reynolds muttered.
It seems that our best course of action would be to initiate a civil war between the Omni-Union and their slaves.
D2. If they are slaves, if they aren't, then we need to come up with another solution.
Either way, we will need to infiltrate the structure.
And there it is. Reynolds looked at me awkwardly. Suddenly, it clicked for me. The Marines to each ship currently housed had been brought along for this very purpose. Had the United Systems had always intended to invade the Grand Vessel, how could they have known? The pit of my stomach grew as I once again reminded at how deadly an opponent the United Systems could be. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Caspar Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.